Hi, my name's Dan, and this video is part of a series on level editing in Unreal 5. And in this video, I'm going to do some very basic stuff about putting things into your level. This is all very much kind of beginner stuff for Unreal. So if you've already used Unreal for more than a couple of hours, you're probably going to know most of the stuff anyway. But you know, there might be things that you haven't known that I'm going to chuck in here. So what I'm actually going to do is, well, I've started with the third person templates, so there is a third person world here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new level and put some random stuff in it so you can see how that works. So first of all, I'm just going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call that my contents. That might be a bit small for you to be able to see, but hopefully you get the idea. And inside that folder, I'll just press enter to go in that folder. I'm going to create a new level. So that's a new 3D environment, which is separate from this one that we've got created here. And I'm just going to call it test. And I've hit enter on my keyboard, so it's trying to open this, but what it's doing is it's going to ask me to save things first. So I was just checking that everything's saved, and then we've loaded it up. Now it's completely black. There's nothing in here. So I could start by putting a light in, but actually that'll still be black. In fact, let's do that. Let's show you. So over here on the left-hand side, we've got a button here for lights, and I'm going to use a directional light. So a directional light is a bit like sunlight in that it doesn't have, although it has a location in the world, the light doesn't emanate out from that location. To do that, you'd want a point light. But this works like sunlight in that it's from a great distance, but it's pointing in a direction. And the reason why it's all still black is because there's nothing for the light to shine on. So we're actually going to put something in the world for it to shine on, and we're going to go to shapes, and I'm going to grab a plane. So a plane means a flat surface, and I'm just going to put that in there. Now we should be able to see that that's lit, and if I get the directional light just to prove this, and I'll just switch the directional light off by using the eye thing, and then switch it back on. There we go. Now that's not very big, so you know, we could stand on that with our character, but we don't get to walk around very far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this. And so we're going to get into the details of this object. We've got it highlighted and into the details pane, and I'm going to click on the several tabs here. In fact, let's zoom in for this bit. So several tabs here, and I'm going to click on the general tab, and the first section here is called transform. Yeah, you might think it should be called transform, but the emphasis is on that transform. It's actually a noun rather than a verb. Okay, we're gonna. This gives us X, Y, Z location, rotation, and scale of the item that we've got selected. And so the thing that we want it to do is to bump up the scale. So we're going to take the X scale and multiply it to 100, and as you'll see, that gives us a long thin thing. I'm going to take the Y scale and multiply up to 100, so we get a large flat space here. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Z and make that 0, so that we're actually at Z equals 0 at the origin. Let's jump back out again. So we've got a plane, we've got it lit. Where was our directional light again? There. Generally with things like a directional light, so Unreal insists that things that have an effect on the world have a presence in the world. Generally you want to have these out of the way. Now I'm not really talking about the fact that I've got the move widget here. I'm just highlighting the X move. I'm just sliding it out of the way. Generally speaking, you want to keep things like that out of the way so they're not interfering with other things. Right, so what happens now when we play? Good question. So let's click play. and we fall. So we've got a character. We haven't said anything about having the character in the world, but that is set in the settings at project level rather than at map or world level. Because we've got the third person template, that's why we've got the third person character, and when we press play, we're controlling it. So I'm not going to mess with that, and I'm not going to start diving into different modes and different ways of having cameras and controlling worlds. That's not the subject of this video. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to do something about the fact that the rest of our world is black behind us. We kind of want to make it feel more like a real world rather than somewhere in the blackness of space. So the thing that we want for here is I'm just trying to remember exactly the name for it. I think it's the atmosphere, sky atmosphere. There we go. We're going to drag one of those into the world, and immediately we now get a horizon and a sky, which is nice. And there's something really quite clever that Unreal does with the directional light and the sky, is that they can interact with each other. So that directional light, you can actually see so it's got the X, Y, and Z axes arrows, but it's also got this white arrow, which is the direction of the light. And if I click on here, so these are the different modes of manipulating things, and I go for the rotation, and I rotate this, then actually it treats it like the sun, and there we go, we've got sunset, and that's during the day, that's midday. And if we keep zooming around, we'll get sunrise, or whichever way it is. Yeah. Whichever way you want it to be. So let's keep it at kind of there-ish. Now we have got kind of blackness underneath, but we have got a nice blue sky there, so that's good. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to deal with is the fact that when we press play, we fall down from some point. I'm not even sure where that arbitrary point is, but what we're going to do is we're going to take control of that by putting in a player start object. So, I've just got rid of that thing at the side, so I'm going to use this one here. So basic. Have we got player start in basic? Don't seem to. So we need to get that that thing back up. Let's see if we can find it. This is live thing. It's happened. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm trying to get the window. So we've got it's on the outline of viewpoints. Place actors. There we go. It's come back. Right. And I'm looking for player start. So what I'm doing here is I'm just typing into the search box something. This is a general thing across lots of aspects in Unreal, that there's these typable boxes which you can use to search for things, which are really useful given how much stuff there is in Unreal. So we're going to get player start. That's going to determine where the player is going to start. I'm going to go back to moving rather than rotating. And where's it done? It's hard to see that those orange lines compared to the world. If I go up and down, you can see, maybe hopefully, that it's dipping into the world. And there is a nice shortcut that I like, which is if you lift something up above something else, then hit the end key, it will drop down until it's exactly on top of that. Now, this player start, oops, just wandering around. You can also see, as well as the X, Y, Z arrows, that there's a long thin blue line, which is the direction that you're actually facing when you start. So let's click play and see what happens. And we should be actually on the floor when we start. There we go, and we've got a nice shadow going out in front of us. Let's get some other things in because this is all about putting stuff in the world. So we're just going to put a few objects in. I'm going to, first of all, so I'm going to go to the starter content that I included with the project, which is part in the content pane down here. And I'm going to start with props. And there's various objects here. Let's put a bush in. All right, there we go. Now that hasn't textured itself yet. There we go, it's got it. And if we press play, go in, and we should be able to see the bush, and we can kind of walk through the bush I'm going to put another object in. I'm going to find somewhere down here. There was a little glass kind of statue. That's already right on the floor nicely. So this has collision detection. So different objects have different settings and whether they collide or not. And in a later video, I'll show you how to do some of that stuff. What am I going to do next? I'm going to do a couch, because couch is my favourite prop. Here we go. So the couch is going to be behind me. Just move it around a bit. And again, play. So, curious thing about the couch, it has no collisions. So you kind of step up slightly as you go through it, which is interesting. Next one I'm going to do is, yes, let's put some fire in. So not everything that you put in the world is an object. And I'm going to go to particles here. So this is going to be a particle effect, and it's again another starter content. It's a fire effect, which is very nice. Starting with that, I'm going to have to move that that couch. But so here we've got the fire effect. It's not actually got an object that's burning. I've just had a nice thought. Let's do something with that, and it doesn't hurt either, because we haven't set it up so that it'll hurt. We haven't got any such thing as player damage yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move that, and I'm going to have a Moses experience so that we can have a burning bush. There we go. Burning bush. Nice. I'm going to move that couch because it's kind of in the way of the camera when we first start. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the architecture section in the starter contents and put in just a wall with a door. I'm going to put that off to the side there and see how we interact with that. So this has got collision. Can't walk through the wall, but it's clever collision because we can go through the hole that's the doorway hole. Very nice. Just going to do a couple more things. So I'm going to put in an object. So for this one, I'm going to use the place actors. But I've closed it again. But now I know where to get it. He says, where exactly is it? Place actors, there we go. What I wanted to do was cancel the selection here, and I've done the wrong thing by closing the tab. So I'm going to go to shapes, and I'm going to put a cube in. It's automatically kind of partway through the floor, but I want to change a quick setting on this. So I'm going to have that cube floating above the floor, and what's going to happen is it's floating above the floor. It's suspended in space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the settings down here. I'm just going to zoom in again. And I'm going to go to the physics settings. I'm not going to spend a long time, in fact, much time at all on these settings, but I am going to click Simulate Physics for this box. And you might be able to guess what's going to happen with this, which is that because we're simulating the physics, that box will now drop down to the floor when we start playing. I'm just going to put it so it's actually in the line of sight when we start using it. It's sat above that statue, so I wonder what it would do if we press play at that point. Okay, so let's press play, and you can just see, yeah, let's do it slightly to the side so it's easier to see because the current's in the way. So you can see it drop down to the floor. And the other thing is, it's not connected to the floor, and we can push it around. And how heavy it is and how it responds to other things are all in the physics settings there. I'm now getting distracted by the idea of, can I push it through that door? It's probably too big. All right. Too distracted. Right, let's move on. Final thing I'm going to show you is going to just use one of the geometry items here. I will do another video in this series that focuses on these geometry brushes much more, and I'm just going to pull in a curved stair there, that, is it's kind of embedded in the floor. Actually, it's fine. It's a curved stair. I had intended to use a spiral stair on the curved stair, but curved stair is absolutely fine. And press play, and the geometry brushes automatically have collision detection on them. You can walk on them, but they don't have texturing on them. You can put textures on them. So that's several different kinds of objects, several different things you can put in, a little bit of the manipulation of objects. But what I'm going to do in the next video after this is I'm going to spend a lot more time on manipulating objects in the world, shrinking, stretching, moving, duplicating, all sorts of different things you can do with the objects to get them how you want them and where you want them. So that's what's going to happen then. So now I'm going to say that's it from me.